Hello, all you liberal boys and girls out there. I'm John. I'm the deplorable basket case. Now, I, like many people, believe that the single most important thing, the one thing that does the most to make the world as good as it is, and can do the most to make the world better, is an open, honest, and respectful exchange of ideas. So, in the interest of promoting that, I want to provide you with some tips, a quick guide, how to get a deplorable, like myself, to care about something that you care about. A cause, a problem, a solution that you want to institute. Now, the very first thing that you really need to bear in mind, it's so important, I can't overemphasize how important this is that you are talking to an individual. If you're talking with me, you're talking with me. You're not talking with all Irish descended redheads. You're not talking with all white men. You're not talking with all 29-year-olds. You are talking to me. So, making arguments at me based on what you think about all white men, all redheads, all ambidextrous people won't work. And the only thing that is likely to do is to make me angry. Because people don't like it when you treat them as anything but individuals, not just deplorables, everyone. So, the first thing that you should do when you set out to convince a deplorable, such as myself, is do your research. Look up the facts. Find specific examples of what it is that you want to convince the deplorable of. Get the dates. Get individual. Find the people involved. Get examples of things that you want to bring up. Find specific examples. Find general examples. And once you have this, once you have the facts, once you know what it is that you want to say, once you are ready, go to the deplorable and say, I want to change your mind. Be upfront about it. Be open. Be honest. Don't try to sidle up to somebody. Don't try to insinuate something into an ordinary conversation, because except under very rare circumstances, you're just going to put people off like that. So, let us suppose, for example, that you feel that there is a serious problem with sexism in the workplace in a particular industry. And you feel that the proper solution to this is a particular action or law to be taken by the federal government. So you approach a deplorable, and you've done all your research, and you have all your facts, and you are ready to do this. You approach this deplorable and you say to him or her, I want to change your mind about this. I think you should care about this. I think you should support this particular solution to this particular problem. And the deplorable says, well, I don't think there is a problem. And you say, well, okay, bring up a specific example, a particular company. Okay, say there's this particular company. This is an example. I'm leading up to something. Bear with me. There is this particular company. You say that to this deplorable, and they have a serious problem with sexism. And you can say they have this number of employees. This number of employees are men. This number of employees are women. This number of employees are managers. This number of managers are men. This number of managers are women. You say, okay, so we can see that women are not being promoted to managers in this company at the same rate as men are. This might be a problem. And then go to the people involved. So talk about women at the company who complain. Talk about men at the company who have said things that are indicative of sexism, and just bring the facts. And except certain rare individuals, if you bring the facts and you are correct and you know what you're talking about, except very rare people, you will convince them that there is a problem at this particular company. Now, there are individuals, both deplorables and liberals and others, who are so fixed in their particular beliefs that they cannot be convinced. So before you go into something, try to feel them out. Try to figure out whether they are able to be convinced. Most people can be convinced if you bring the facts and if you know what you're talking about. Now, once you have this deplorable convinced that there is a problem with sexism in this company, say there is this other company in the same industry, and they have the same problems. And again, bring the facts. You won't need to bring so many facts this time because you already have an example. You already have a company. You've already convinced the deplorable that there is a problem. Now you're trying to convince the deplorable of the scope of the problem. It is not just this particular company. So there's this other company where they have the same problems. Cite facts, examples, quotes, bring up individuals. Say show that if there are, for example, there's a class action suit being brought by the women of a particular company, mention that. Talk about the evidence that there is in that class action suit. Once you have the deplorable convinced that there is a similar problem in this second company, bring up a third company, because if it is actually an industry-wide problem, then there's definitely a lot of companies where they will have where there will be evidence and facts you can cite. So bring up a third company and again cite facts, people, quotes, everything you've got. Bring in the facts, know what you're talking about, be polite, be respectful, and just keep coming. So once you have a deplorable convinced that there's problems at 3 separate companies, then cite general examples. Talk about the industry as a whole. Talk about if there's, for example, some meeting of people from across the industry, point out who came there, what they did, what programs they all agreed on. Talk about the industry. Talk about the industry as a whole and what kind of actions, what kind of programs are common across the industry as a whole. So, once you've done that, once you have the deplorable convinced that there is a problem across the industry, that it is in fact not a state problem in a particular state, not a particular company, not a particular branch of the industry, across the industry, that there is a problem. Now you need to convince the deplorable that 1, action needs to be taken, and 2, that it needs to be the federal government that does it. Remember, with we're starting from there's a problem with sexism in this industry, and you feel that the federal government needs to take action. It needs to be a particular action. So, deplorables, the vast majority of deplorables, I'm sure there are exceptions to this rule, don't like the size of the federal government. We think it's too big. We don't want it getting bigger. We don't want it having more power and influence in people's lives. So, convincing a deplorable that the federal government needs to take action is a tough sell. If something is a national problem, a nationwide problem, then as a general rule, it is possible to convince deplorables that that the federal government needs to take action. Still, a tough sell. Do some more research before you go in. When you start, do some research before you start this. Research the history of similar problems and similar actions taken by governments. Again, cite examples. Talk about when governments have done similar things in the past and how it has worked out. Now, again, I say, there are some people who just cannot be convinced. There are people who are so set in their ways that no matter what you say, you cannot convince them otherwise. Both deplorables and liberals and others. If you run into one of these people, just stop. Don't drive yourself crazy trying to convince them when you cannot convince them. Don't obsess over it. Don't, oh, what's the word? Just walk away. There's a whole world full of people out there. There's a whole world full of problems out there that you can spend your time and energy on. Don't waste your limited time and energy on a person who you cannot convince. So, where was I? Yes, cite examples from history. Talk about similar programs and similar problems and similar solutions that have been taken to these problems. I think I did that out of order, but I think it was clear. Deplorables respect history. We respect past performance, and as a general rule, there are exceptions, I'm certain. So if you can bring up similar problems in the past that have been dealt with in similar ways and have worked out okay, most deplorables will respect that. We might not entirely believe that this is appropriate to the particular circumstances of here and now today, but as a general rule, we will respect that. So once you have that, once you have a deplorable convinced that there is a problem, and you brought up the past history, and sorry, this is the first draft video, so to speak. Once you have them hooked, so to speak, now is a time when you should make a personal appeal. You should say something like, "This is what I feel needs to be done. Can you think of anything else that could be done to deal with this problem? And if you can't, then please support me, because something needs to be done. This is a solution that I feel would work, or we feel would work. If you're part of a group that is pushing this, and there needs to be a solution because people are being mistreated. This is unfair. This is not right. Something needs to be done. This is a solution that we feel would work, that has worked. Solutions like this have worked in the past with similar problems. So we have reason to believe that this will work. So if you do not have some counter proposal, some other solution to this problem, well, if you do have, then please tell us, because we would like to know. We would like to know what you think. We would like to know what options there are to deal with this problem. But this is a definite problem, and this is a solution. So help us, support us, work with us, make it an invitation. No one likes to be bossed around. The vast majority of people, though, do want to help make the world better. So invite people. Make them feel that they are welcome. And if you have the facts, and if you are respectful and polite, and you know what you're talking about, and you don't let yourself get hung up on, oh, what's the word? On your personal biases, because, to be honest, everyone has biases. I have biases. Don't let yourself get hung up on them. If you work it, and if you approach the individual, and you address the individual, then there's a good chance that you can convince a deplorable. So that's my guide. That's my selection of tips. I hope that everyone watching this, can make something good from this. I certainly hope that everyone can work together to make the world a better place, because I'm sure we can all agree there are bad things in the world. We can all agree that there are good things to work toward. And that's always a good place to start from. It's always a good place to start a discussion from. So that's one more tip. That's all. Thank you for watching. Please comment below with anything you have to say. And that's all. Have a good day, have a good night, and God bless.